Hey guys, this is Javan. This is part 3 of getting started with Azure Media Services. We'll talk about delivery in this part. In part 1 and 2, we talked about setting up, how to actually post up and encode the media. Now we're going to talk about how do you actually deliver it. Once you encode your media, you're going to get a locator, and that's just simply the URL that it points to. And you put that in a player, and that's it. It plays. However, likely you'll want to protect your content. First of all, you don't want anybody to just take your locator and put it in any video player and play your video from anywhere. So that's one reason to protect your content. In Cloud Gunk, obviously, people want their files to be private, so we definitely need to protect the content and put content keys and delivery policies on it. So there's two ways to protect your content. There's actually the encryption that Azure provides at rest, so that the asset itself is encrypted as it's stored in Azure. And then there's actually the delivery policy. When the asset is being pulled over the wire, you need a key for that asset, so that as the asset is coming in, the key basically unlocks and decrypts that asset so it can actually play on the user's end device. The end device could be an HTML5 player, it could be an iPhone app, it could be Android, anything. So depending on where you want to deliver it to is depending on the content key you're going to get. Some keys work on some devices, some delivery policies, some don't. We needed it to work everywhere because we're public service. People need to be able to see it on any device, mostly on HTML5 devices. So I'm going to get into that right now and show you guys exactly the steps you need to take for all of that, for creating all the content keys and getting your locators and then delivering it out to your users. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. So here are the steps to get set up with Azure Media Services. First, you want to define a content key and delivery policy. Obviously, if it's public media, you just leave it open. PlayReady and Widevine is more secure. FairPlay is secure, and it's usually used for Apple. And then AES is less secure, but it's most widely supported everywhere. So you could see in the Azure Media Player documentation, they have this compatibility matrix that shows you exactly where these different delivery policies are available depending on the device. You see in Safari iOS 6 that some of the more secure things are not even supported, and even the AES's, there's a couple of issues with it. So that's the Azure Media Player documentation. Which that's the second step. You need to actually choose a player, which we chose the Azure Media Player. You could also use something like a JW player, and you could see that at this link right here. The Azure Media Player has this demo which allows you to choose several different samples, including samples that select from AES. Here's the locator for the video, so you could use your own locator and test with that. You could even use your own keys over here and put all the parameters. And then over here you could access the player code, which you could use in your own project. This shows you everything you need to implement to get set up. You can see your locators over here. Again, here's the code to go back. You see, here's your locator. Here's all the dependencies you need to put inside. And if you want to try with something else besides AES, for example, like PlayReady or Widevine, you just simply select from the different samples, and you could put your PlayReady simple web token here. And once you put all the parameters in, you could get the player code here to implement directly into your website. So it's as simple as that. Going back, now once you choose your player, you need to say you get the locator for the player. Optionally, you could choose your own way to generate the content keys through a backend API. I'm not going to really cover that, but we had to do that in our project. And then, of course, if it's public content, you only need the locator. There's no need to implement keys or anything like that. So I'll show you how we did that in our service, which we did last week. So we check if the asset is not a public asset. We need to define both a delivery policy and a content key. And you see we have defined specific content keys and delivery policies for our asset, and we add that to the content keys and delivery policies, so that when we create the locator with this asset, the content key and delivery policy will define on that locator, and it'll be smart enough to know this locator requires these policies. When we actually spit out the video to our HTML output, we have the video object, the HTML5 video object. We define all the different parameters for the object here. And of course, if the video is public, we just simply set the player source to that locator URI. We use a custom backend to generate our content keys, so we actually do a little bit of massaging for our URLs to point to our specific API, and that's what this is all doing here. We also have this disable URL rewriter so that it doesn't try to access Azure's portal to do that. Okay guys, so yeah, that's it. As you can see, the steps again: you want to define your content keys and delivery policies. You want to choose your player, which we chose the Azure Media player so we could play it in HTML5. Once you have the locator, you simply pop it into your player. You need obviously your token, either your JWT token or your SWT token, and that will allow you to give the person that key to be able to play that specific asset. So if you guys have any questions on this video, or if there's something that I didn't cover that you want to go a little deeper into, leave some comments and I'll be happy to go over a little more about that. Obviously, this is a subject that could be described and take hours and hours. So definitely feel free to hit me up and I'll be happy to help you guys out.